What is up, YouTube? What's up, Xtreme Gainz family? I'm Chuck. This is Xtreme Gainz. I am not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is or ever will be financial advice. Please do not take it as such. Today is Monday, September 12th, 2022, and this is my Amc Gme and SPY Algo exposed daily update and preparation video for tomorrow and beyond. Obviously, I am almost without a voice. Anytime I throw some volume to it, it cuts out completely, so bear with me if you would throughout the video. I'm going to push through this and try to get this update and prep video done and published and out. I will try to get through this as quickly and easily as I can. So I'm going to go over all of my regulars, my snake algo method for all three tickers, some macro comparatives, and some side-by-sides of last night's update and prep videos projections and today's fulfillment of those projections. So with all of that said, let's dig in. Real quick, my extreme gains for today from my scalp setups on the 7 tickers that I set up every single day provided 19 separate entries from trigger, the highest ROI today being 100%, the lowest being 15, multiples of 50, 40, and 30 in between there to round out that list for today. Always super happy and grateful for those. And likewise, the Xtreme Gainz Premium Discord family had another great day today. Congratulations to all of you on your extreme gains, and to all of our extended family out here in YouTube land. I hope you all were able to do something similar and make some extreme gains for yourselves. Currently on your screen, on your left is AMC 5-minute intraday chart. SPY on your right, same 5-minute intraday chart with my snake algo method micro intraday snake on both of them. You can see the projection and fulfillment of both of them today. We're pretty dead on. SPY did have an invert mirroring here about midday, but I did have it covered with an alternate snake on here to provide the projection of potential mirrorings throughout this current snake, and I had that nailed as well. So they were dead on today with their fulfillment with that secondary snake on SPY. And then obviously you can see AMC played out today as well. So super happy with both of them as always. Moving on to the intra-week snakes, macro comparatives and side-by-side comparisons of last night's update and prep video projections and today's fulfillments. Currently on your screen is AMC. AMC finished the day, regular trading hours today, as projected, up 5.14%, currently down 0.68% in after hours, trading at 10.15. The current intra-week snake is what you see on your screen that continued to fulfill its projection 100%. As you see it here, this snake has been projecting now over 2 weeks, and it is overdue for an interchange into a new snake, as we have discussed in previous videos. However, I'm going to continue to allow it to fulfill if price action is going to continue to fulfill it, but I am being hyper vigilant as to the indicator and a potential new day of and day prior to snake. Obviously, if this were to divert to the downside outside of this upside projection, I will be clipping a day of and day prior to new potential intra-week snake and presenting them to you moving forward, as I always do. However, in this position, here's the side-by-side from last night's update and prep video, the location of price, the projection, and now today the fulfillment of that with the continuation to upside move, 100% fulfilled, and obviously the projection from it moving forward into tomorrow and beyond if price action were to continue to fulfill it in this position. Then the macro comparative for AMC, as you know, is from the previous double bottom 2 doors back right here that I had previously used for all of this previous price action projected and fulfilled from that macro comparative. Then I flipped it here in the blue, and it has since its placement fulfilled its projection from that peak to the downside to the macro ascending level of support. And then we had diverted off of the bounce off of that ascending level of support when price action breached to the downside and failed to continue to fulfill it to the upside in its straight up position as it was projecting. That indicated me as to a potential mirroring of that fulfillment or of that projection to the downside and fulfilling it in a mirrored manner. And that is exactly what we have gotten. So I had that placed on there in anticipation of that in the mirrored position. That's the red one. Since then, going back to not last week, but the week before, when I did initially place this in the mirrored position, I spoke about this W formation forming and then a potential convergence back to the upside if that macro neckline and macro ascending level of support were breached back to the upside, and that is currently where we are at now and what it is currently looking like. You can see we talked about this in last night's video about the macro significant level of support and resistance and the price action either above that or below that for a continuation of fulfillment, either in the straight up position for that convergence back to upside or to fulfill in the mirrored position and get rejected back downside. And then we fulfilled to the upside, and it looks like we are potentially converging back with the straight up flipped position of the macro comparative. Here's the side-by-side screenshot from last night's update and prep video, the location of price action within that video, the projection from it as I drew the line in when we were discussing it in the video, and now today's beginning of that fulfillment to the upside 100% as projected. You can see what the projection is from it moving forward into tomorrow and beyond if price action were to continue to fulfill it in the straight up position. However, obviously, if it were to divert to the downside, then it is possible that this could converge back downside with the mirrored position and the mirrored projection. But obviously, it's got some more work, in my opinion, to do to get to that downside convergence rather than just continue to fulfill in the straight up position to the upside. But either way, you can see the projections from both of them moving forward if price action were to fulfill them. That's everything I'm looking at with AMC. Up next is GME. GME finished the day today up 1.11% in regular trading hours, currently up 0.07% in after hours, trading at 29.26. The current intra-week snake and the most recent position, this thing has been fulfilling its projection for over 6 weeks now. It's currently in the mirrored position, and like AMC, it is overdue for an interchange, a diversion from it, and a new intra-week snake to take over in that interchanging. However, we have continued to fulfill it, so I'm going to allow it to do so, but we are starting to run out of real estate here, obviously, if we continue to fulfill this. I spoke to you in last night's video about this, having the ability to put this short-term upside move in today, followed by a rejection off of that macro significant level of resistance back downside, and then a continued fulfillment of that. And we didn't get all of it, but we got the beginnings of that with the short-term upside and then the rejection back downside. Obviously, if we continue moving to the upside here, there is potential for that to be diverted from and then a new snake to be clipped. There's also the alternate position, obviously, of this that would make sense. And if we continue that upside move from here, you can see what that projection would be. But nonetheless, I'm going to stick with the ongoing fulfillment of the position that has been tracked on the channel day in and day out. And here it is. And you can see where price action has fulfilled that. Here is the side-by-side from last night's update and prep video, the location of price within it, the projection from it, and today's fulfillment of it. Obviously, like I said, you can see the projection from it moving forward if it were to fulfill in this position. Then the macro comparative, like AMC's previous one, this one here has been used for the last 5 months worth of projections, and it has fulfilled both in the straight up and the mirrored position throughout that entire 5 months. We are currently in the straight up position. It has been continuously fulfilling its projection as you see it, and the current location within that, and again, the fulfillment today, which we're going to discuss shortly. Here is the side-by-side from last night's update and prep video, the location of price action in the video, the projection from it, and now the fulfillment here today. Now, looking at this, it does look like one of two potential fulfillments, either the level changed fulfillment, like so. And then if that were the case, you can see what the projection would be if it were to continue to fulfill it without any mirrorings, or a potential mirrored fulfillment, whereas it put it in up high, and then we would potentially get a continuation to upside fulfillment here, converge, back upside where it's projecting downside, and so on and so forth within that consolidation area if it were to continue fulfilling it like that. However, if price action were to divert upside away from that, breach that macro significant level of support at 29.80 and head back upside to the macro third level or beyond that I have in there. There is a possibility that I do need to potentially look for a new macro comparative to use moving forward, but nonetheless, you can see the fulfillment of it and the projection from it moving forward into tomorrow and beyond. Last but not least is SPY. SPY finished the day today up 1.07%, currently up an additional 0.08% in after hours, trading at 411.30. The current intra-week snakes that I have been using are the red is the day prior to this previous divergence up here at the peak and the head of the head and shoulders, and the green the day of divergence from that same peak. The green is in its straight up position, and in that position it has continued to fulfill. As you see, it did have an invert mirroring down here that I explained last night, and I will one more time. It projected a single bottom hit, this single bottom hit and back upside, which is an inverted W, and then obviously we fulfilled in the double formation, therefore fulfilling it in the mirrored position. However, we have continued to fulfill off that bounce back upside after the mirrored fulfillment of it. And we once again today fulfilled that with the continuation to upside move. The projection from this interweek snake since the double bottom confirmation hit and moved back upside has not changed, as it's obviously been projecting upside. Here is the side-by-side from last night's update and prep video, the location of price action within that, and then the obvious upside projection from it. And here today, the continuation to upside fulfillment of it 100%. So once again, nothing has changed moving into tomorrow. The projection is the same, a continuation to upside if price action were to continue to fulfill it in this position. Then the day prior to the previous divergence, in its mirrored position, has continued to fulfill in its entirety. This, unlike that single bottom, did project the double bottom fulfillment that we got there, and then the bounce up and the move back upside. As you see it, it has fulfilled from its placement to today consistently throughout. Here is the side-by-side of it from last night's update and prep video. The location of price action, oh, that's the macro. Right here it is. The location of price action within the video, the projection from it, and today's 100% fulfillment of that continued upside fulfillment today. Likewise, you can see what the projection is from it moving forward into tomorrow and beyond if price action were to continue to fulfill it in this straight up position. Obviously, it's in the mirrored position, but it's straight up right now. Obviously, if it were to mirror, then we would be looking at a rejection back downside and not a continuation fulfillment to the upside. That will be the difference. I will be looking at the 412.50 level for that macro confirmation to upside and or a level of rejection back to downside if it were to mirror that in that way. And then last but not least, the macro comparative for SPY is from the 08-09 correction and crash. And in its most recent position, here's the bird's eye of the continued fulfillment of it throughout, and then our current location within the position of that macro comparative right here. And we had discussed in last night's video the possibility for for price action to put in this short-term upside move prior to the rejection off of the lower macro third that I have laid in here. Price action did move short-term upside like you see it there, and we have breached that level to the upside. That does not mean that it has confirmed a continuation to upside yet. It still could obviously reject off of that same macro level of confirmation, that 412.40 or 412.50 level to the upside, and then obviously rejection back to the downside for continued fulfillment of that moving into tomorrow. You can see what the side-by-side from last night's update and prep video, the position of price action within it, the short-term upside that I had talked about potentially getting fulfilled prior to the rejection, and continued fulfillment in this position if price action were to continue to fulfill it in this position. Again, another 100% fulfilled projection. Now, with that being said, we are at a pivot point within this, and it's very, very obvious that it's a little bit off. It's not fulfilling candle for candle, which is okay because this has always been a projected suggested path. If price action were to continue up to the upside, this is something that I would have to potentially reevaluate the position of moving forward, potentially a mirrored position of it. And then this length of downside movement would be fulfilled and projected to the upside. Obviously, we'll look at that if and when that time comes. But real quick, I do want to show you similar to SPY, the SPX, and I have the same 0809 comparative, macro comparative on top of current SPX. This is a daily clip from 0809 on top of SPX daily. And I think this could be a potential alternate position. However, it does project the exact same thing as if we were to reject and then continue downside. Other than it does show a potential for some short-term consolidation up here prior to the continuation to downside versus just a straight-up rejection and downside if we don't get that initially. So I am, in the spirit of that, going to allow SPY a little bit of time here moving forward and not invalidate the macro comparative just yet. Obviously, there will be a level to the upside that I will invalidate it if we breach to the upside, and that'll be the 418.50. Once we breach that, if we breach that to the upside, I will then invalidate this position of the macro comparative and reevaluate and then present something after that if I feel it is relevant. My friends, my family, I made it through. I know I don't sound the best. Hopefully you made it here to the end with me. If you did, thank you very much. I appreciate it greatly. Don't forget to smash the like button on the way out. Leave me a comment. Let me know how you did in the market today. Quick reminder, I will be live here. I will be live here on the YouTube channel and on the Twitch channel Wednesday morning, starting at 9 a.m. from then until market close. Make sure you mark it down and set a reminder. Come by, hang out with us, trade with us, bullshit with us, all that good stuff. I hope to see you all there. Good luck in the market tomorrow. I will try like hell to get an update and prep video out to you all tomorrow night after market close, just like this one. However, if I obviously cannot talk, I do want to save my voice a little bit so I can live stream with y'all on Wednesday. But I'll let you all know if I decide not to put one out tomorrow night. If not, and you don't hear from me, plan on looking for that tomorrow night after market close, just like this one. Good luck tomorrow. Make some extreme gains for yourselves, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow night on the next one. Later.